And we have had so many wonderful voices already, and I just want to take a moment to thank them. Please thank our Congresswoman, the speakers before. And let's thank our DJ, doing a great job keeping the joy. Now I know that I'm grateful to be here with you today, but I also know these are very tough times all across our country. Right? We're here today because the threat is real. Democracy is being challenged, and it's up to us to respond. And we know what we're seeing in LA is just plain wrong. Military force is never the right response to peaceful protest. Freedom of speech is literally the first thing in the Bill of Rights, in case the president forgot. And escalation does not build peace, it only spreads fear. And we know that's what he wants. That's right, he does want to be king. He, like so many kings before him, I believe, is also afraid. He is a coward. He is afraid of losing power. He is afraid of the truth. He is afraid of people who won't stay silent. He doesn't lead with courage. He rules with fear, and he feeds on division. And today, while so many working families are struggling to survive, to make a living, he's throwing himself a military parade birthday party. But by the way, I heard almost no one is going to, if you haven't heard that. And the major networks decided to cover sports instead. That's America. So for us also, we've got to be clear. You know, America did not rise up 248 years ago to trade one king for another king. We were literally founded in opposition to what we see today from our president. That is the definition of America. And we know that we are not going to let America forget why we are here. The entire point of our country is at stake right now. And we also know this is how tyrants operate. They start by identifying a scapegoat. We've seen this around the world, we've seen it in America. And then they go after the most vulnerable, the least able to fight back, and they hope no one notices. As we speak up, because we know when any one of us is a target, we are all at risk. And no matter who we are, it's just a question of when we will be next. So we need to send a little bit of a message. We should pause right here because I think I need your help. When he rules with fear instead of law, we say, no kings! No kings! When he sends troops into American cities, we say, no kings! When he deports without due process, we say, no kings! And make no mistake, we've seen this before, right here in New Mexico, and even from the same president. You know, I remember going down to the border in 2018 when children were being separated from parents. And I'm glad we were reminded that that actually continued, by the way, and is still happening in some ways. But I remember we stood shoulder to shoulder with immigrant families, and we said loud and clear, Albuquerque will not turn its back on families, no matter what that family is. And in defiance of President Trump, I signed the immigrant-friendly law to make sure no police officers, no employee is going to work with ICE. Now we know, unfortunately, that fear keeps knocking right here at home. Just this week, 11 migrant workers were arrested by ICE in a New Mexico dairy farm. These are people who literally provide the milk that feeds our families, and they were detained like criminals with no warrant and no rationale. In the South Valley, ICE is cold knocking on doors without warrants, stoking fear. That is not law enforcement. That is terror. That is exactly what that is. This is what happens when someone wants to rule and not to lead. That's right. So when they raid our businesses, we say, no kings. When they jail our neighbors without cause, we say, no kings. When they make people afraid to call 911, we say, no kings. So here in Albuquerque, we know the difference between control and community. And we celebrate our 20,000 immigrant families in this city every day. You know, we're throwing around a lot of history today because we should. I will tell you, our city hall and convention center, when it was built, they didn't have enough local labor. So guess who built it? Immigrants from Chihuahua. Our own city hall, our own convention center. So our immigrant community knows that we have to make sure, no matter what, that we send a message. We do not check your papers, we check on your safety. In this city, that's right, in this country, we don't rule people, we stand with them. And our community needs our help, especially our immigrant community now, perhaps more than ever. So thank you for showing up. Our city is hosting Know Your Rights town halls. Even APD is doing Spanish language Know Your Rights town halls. And we are handing thousands of these Know Your Right red cards all over APS. And to show you that it works, this card actually came from my daughter who is in APS, and she just said, I was told to give this to my parents. That's the city I want to live in. So now is the time to act, to support immigrant rights organizations, to show up, to speak up, to be organized. Because we know our democracy is never to be taken for granted, and it's something we must defend. So I'm going to close with this. Look around here today, just a little bit, next to you and behind you, at the thousands of people who are here today. This is our strength. This is our power. Say it with me, no kings! No kings! No kings! We are strong, we are resilient, and we love this place and each other. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the mayor of Albuquerque, Tim